meeting to order at 7:30 p.m. Wednesday, January 15th, 2025. Inland Wetlands Agency of Town of Woodbridge. First item and only item on the agenda this evening is a continuation of the 344 Amity Road application, which we started in September. My email earlier today referenced November, but it's September. So, all right. So we've been back and forth on this, and Jim Preddy last month we thought we might consider the creation of additional wetlands. We had Jim look at that. He's not crazy about the idea because of additional disturbance, and he doesn't think it really help with flood control at all. So we're sort of back to where we were. We have the Brogy report, Jim Preddy's comments. Chris has left us with the Brogy report and some GIS maps, and I also just being curious about this thing, left on your desks a GIS map with the topography. The elevations shown on the map show that the 2019 aerial with the 2016 elevations on it show that the peninsula was there back in at least 2016 and it looked like 2013 also. It was hard to tell from the aerials exactly what was there. So I found that the elevation map was actually more helpful to show what was there as far as one of the maps on the GIS shows the branch of the brook on both sides of what is now the peninsula, but the elevation maps indicate that there was no other brook on that side that was filled. So anyway, so that at least gave me some comfort knowing that we're dealing with something that pre-existed the current owner's acquisition of the property. And I know, Stephen, you have some comments you want to make before we don't want to rehash everything, but if you have something new to say, feel free to hop in, because I think we kind of need to get rid of this thing, but we have to by today, so.
I agree.
Okay.
I do have some thoughts. In fact, I have a motion.
Okay. All right.
But I don't want to monopolize the commission. If there are other people who want to talk or comment on anything.
I think everybody else has said their piece in previous meetings, but feel free if I don't want to shut anybody off who wants to speak. But I think you're the only one who really has other things they want to say. So.
Fine. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
So I actually prepared some comments just to keep me organized and so that I cover everything that I wanted to. So I'll be reading. I'm sorry if I'm not looking at you. So by way of introduction to a motion I want to make, I want to state what it is that forms the basis for my motion. I do not find credible or substantiated the conclusion that the fill in the wetland and watercourse predates the February 10, 2022 ownership of the property by the applicant. I find that conclusion that it predates to be inconsistent with the conclusion of the agency's credentialed staff, specifically Martin Brogy, Inc., Environmental Services. As he stated, it appeared that the driveway extension and an area to the south along the stream had been filled. And the 2023 aerial view depicts a clear line of recently deposited fill material within the wetlands area. I'm reading from Mr. Brogy's report. Brogy concluded the area of direct wetland impact is approximately 1,500 to 2,000 square feet. I will note that the average footprint size of a home in the U.S. is 2,300 square feet. So the filled area is akin to placing a structure the size of a house in the wetland and watercourse. Brogy relied upon the fill limit boundaries, his direct observations, and aerial imagery to come to his conclusion that the area was filled sometime in 2023 and 2024, subsequent to the current ownership. Review his aerial imagery from 2012, 2022, 2023, and 2024, showing obvious changes in and from 2023 and 24 that show recently deposited fill. These aerial images are clear, and one should easily believe their own eyes when looking at them. You have that Broggie report in front of you. It was produced for you again tonight, and it's been in your packets for some months. My own observations from the applicant's own photos showing the wetland area immediately off the small white cement patio in the center of the yard not being filled. So my own observations from the applicant's own photographs show that there was no filled peninsula at the time that the photographs were taken and given to us by the applicant to show, I think it was that period of time when they bought the property. Further, I see from the photos on Realtor.com, which I've alluded to on the record, presumably dating back to the 2021-22 listing, showing a backyard that is full of vegetation with no fill. Now, I'm going to put these photographs, what I'm referring to, I've actually made copies of, and I'd like, I'm going to make them available to the commission. In fact, I'll give them to Jean if she wants to peruse and pass them along. So I see from the photos on Realtor.com, presumably dating back to the 2021-2022 listing, showing a backyard that is full of vegetation with no fill. I see from the Woodbridge GIS parcel maps showing a watercourse wetland area immediately off that white cement patio at the place of the fill. These materials are up front for review if you do not have them, and I'm referring to what the packet I just gave Jeannie. Broggie concludes with, it is recommended that the fill materials be removed from the former wetland area and that the wetland area be restored to its original condition. Noting that the filled streamside wetlands served as wetland habitat diversity as well as stormwater quality renovation and more. Mr. Preety, the town's engineer, stated that the peninsula area appears to have been there for a number of years, which does little to ascertain the time of the filling, since the time between 2023, as Mr. Broggie alleges, and now is a number of years. The credible and substantial evidence appears to show that the unpermitted activity of placing fill in the wetlands and watercourse and the clearing of the southwest side of the stream, resulting in the irreversible and irretrievable loss of wetlands and watercourse, occurred subsequent to the applicant's ownership of the property. And therefore, it will not be inequitable or unwarranted for this commission to order the removal of that fill in this proceeding. Accordingly, I'd like to make the following motion. Following a review of the considerations set forth in Section 10 of the regulations, including the applicant's purpose for the proposed activity, and the irreversible and irretrievable loss of wetlands and watercourses which was caused by the activity, I move to approve the application related to 344 Amity Road upon the following conditions. That the fill materials, approximately 3 feet of it, be removed from the former wetland area and that the wetland area be restored to its original condition only upon a survey, engineering, and environmental consulting firm developing restoration plans for this commission's approval. All the words of Mr. Broggie in his report are expert on the matter, and that report shall be filed with the commission on or before May 1, 2025. Such a plan shall include details of means and methods for fill material, for fill removal and sedimentation and erosion control, as well as a wetland restoration, soil and planning specification. Again, Mr. Broggie's words. The cleared area southwest of the watercourse shall also be restored, including tree and shrub plantings and appropriate herbaceous seed mixes, which restoration shall be part of the restoration plans. So this is my motion. To summarize, that the requested activities in the application be approved, but only on condition that the area that was not addressed in the application, that appears to have been filled within the last 2 years, be removed according to the recommendation of this commission's expert And thank you, Mr. Chairman.
All right, we have a motion. Is there a second? Okay, so not having a second, the motion fails. Do we have any alternative discussion or other motions that we want to consider? In my mind, what I'd like to do is have the applicant come back by April with a plan to restore the west side of the stream, the area on the west side of the stream bed with plantings. The town engineer had recommended riprapping, which is rocks along the curve, basically, in order to prevent erosion as water would come down from the hill and then go around the peninsula area. Those would be the two elements that I would consider that would need to be addressed, but I'm open to what anybody else thinks, because we definitely need to do something here in order to prevent, erosion. Of course, we can't do it now, but we can, do that once the spring arrives. Yes?
Mr. Chairman, I think your recommendation falls short. And what I'd like to add to this discussion is that filled wetland area appears to impound the stream flows from upstream, because if you look at the map, if that area were not filled, that area would simply be one straight flow over the wetland area, that floodplain that was filled, which is the peninsula. So, hang on a second. Let me just finish by saying, so the filling of that floodplain, which has become the peninsula, actually causes the water to back up, I expect, because if you look, there's a curve there now that was not in the pre-2023 diagrams. And I'll tell you, so when I was looking at the website at Realtor.com, it was the property is known as a extreme flood risk. 10 out of 10, and I printed that page. The point I'm making is the conditions that were created by filling that floodplain may be creating a more dangerous condition, a flood condition at his property, because of the impediment of that peninsula in what was otherwise a floodplain, and if you look at the GIS, what might have been even a branch of the stream.
Okay,
Yes,
well,
sir.
Stephen, in 2016, the elevation map shows the peninsula existed, okay? And it existed in the same area that it currently exists.
I don't challenge that there was a feature there that looks like a peninsula. What we're really talking about is
Well, no, you can
3
look at
feet.
the elevations.
Oh, no, I know.
Yeah.
But what we're talking about was 3 feet of fill introduced onto that space that looks like a peninsula, which is actually a floodplain, according to Martin Broggie.
Well, I think Brogie's wrong with some of, he should have looked at the elevation map from 2016.
I think
Perhaps something was added to the top of the peninsula, but the peninsula definitely existed. And on the assessor's map that shows a branch of the brook going through what's now the peninsula is clearly wrong. None of the photos support the fact that there was 2 branches of that stream that went through that area, except for the assessor's map, which is hardly, the elevation map would have shown a depression there that would have permitted there to be another branch of the brook if it existed in 2016.
I guess what I would say is the photograph from the applicant themselves appears to depict the stream that you say is really not there, is relying solely on a crude topographical map, because as you look at it, one can see a water course right here just off the small white foundation in the center of the yard. I'm looking at mere feet, 10 feet, 15 feet, and then you can see the main channel out here in the distance. And this is a photograph that was produced by the applicant. So I'm not prepared to put all my eggs in a crude elevation map, I'm relying on Mr. Brogie's background experience, direct observations, aerial photographs. May I show for you? You run the risk of being offensive. May I show for you the aerials from 2022, which, yes, show a floodplain, maybe in the shape of the peninsula, but just as Mr. Brogie draws our attention to, when he attaches the 2023 aerial, there's a dramatic difference that happened in 2023, and then, even more apparent that something happened is the 2024 photograph, which is full-blown cobble on top of fill in that well-defined area. So I'm believing my eyes. I'm choosing to believe my eyes here. So I do believe that the fill took place within the last 2 years, and I do not believe that it is unfair to ask that that be removed, just as our expert recommended. And I think we need to take a stand for the wetlands. I think this would be an educational experience for the citizenry too, to help understand that these areas are protected and regulated areas, and this is a sizable area. So if you look at this room, it's a pretty large room. My supposition is the filled area is larger than this room.
Well, there's nothing in Brogie's 2012 aerial that indicates that there was another stream branch.
Okay, well,
okay, and it does show that there's a peninsula type of structure there, but without elevations, it's impossible to say whether it was 2 feet, 3 feet, 10 feet, as far as what existed back in 2012. And then this 2023, I definitely, the area has been cleaned up, but there's nothing to show that it had been filled. It had been cleaned up in 2023. It just was overgrown more in 2012. I just disagree. So
well,
I think it's being labeled as wetland, but it's not soggy style wetland.
Right.
It's still several feet above the level of the stream, and the surface now is permeable.
Mm-hmm.
So it can still act like a wetland area, and in fact, the water can fall on it, be drained onto it, and it can still drain through the subsurface and ultimately into the stream somehow through whatever water does.
Mm-hmm.
And I do worry that trying to pull materials out of there will be very disruptive, and the supporting walls that are around the stream, both recent and perhaps historic, would be disturbed. And so we don't know the outcome entirely of what would take place if we don't, we can't restore it to, we don't really know what was under there. The pictures show lots of vegetation, and vegetation's impenetrable from the air, so it's not clear what soil types were there.
Yeah,
There's a risk involved in making a decision to move all that stuff.
plus, in my mind, it acts as a way to stop the velocity or reduce the velocity of any water coming down off the hill. It'll hit that peninsula area, slow down, and then work its way around.
That's true, go into the soil first.
Right. Or Jim even mentioned, worst case, it'll overtop it, and again, it'll slow it down because it'll be going slower into the rest of the Brooks system. Excuse me. Yes.
I'd just like to respond to Jeannie. So I think you make a credible point. However, that work to remove and restore that area would be done pursuant to a engineering and environmental consulting firm developing a plan, which would include, as Mr. Brogie says, sedimentation and erosion control. So this would be a fairly run-of-the-mill garden variety for a firm, given the size of the space we're talking about. So I think whatever potential short-term impacts to the resource are far outweighed by the long-term benefits to the restoration of that area, which Mr. Broggie indicates has a number, at least 3 specific valuable wetland functions. So I apologize if I appear argumentative, but
No, that's your prerogative. But I think what I'd like to do though is, see if there's support for a motion to approve the application with the stipulations that the applicant come back by our April meeting with a plan to restore the other side of the stream bed, the west side of the stream bed, and provide riprap around the bend, and I don't know, whatever else other people may suggest. And if we have a motion to that effect,
I would
then,
support that.
if we have a motion to that effect, and then we could maybe move this along, so.
I would so make a motion to do
Okay.
the riprap, some replanting of appropriate plants as recommended in terms of both the peninsula and the other side, and whatever else you suggested.
Okay. Do we have a second? Oh, you second. Do you have a second?
I would second.
Josh seconded. All in favor?
can we have a discussion?
I think we've discussed this ad nauseum at this point. so.
Okay, well, of the motion, okay.
Okay, well, all right, Stephen, if you want to say your piece. Go ahead.
Yeah, just, I'd like to just make, I think the wetlands lose here. I'm not quite sure that this proposal furthers this commission's responsibilities toward the regulated areas. So I see the way things are going. I'm a pragmaticist. I get it. So that's the extent of my comments on your motion. Thank you.
Okay. So, all in favor of the motion?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion passes. So if you could come back by April with some kind of plan that we can review with planting along the west side of the stream, stabilizing the disturb area and rip-wrapping the corner as the water comes around the corner around the peninsula, then we will act on that and improve that. Okay?
Okay. Is there any sort of website or something that I can find for the plans?
Yeah, Chris can
And what we should
help you
plant?
with that. Can
Okay.
Southwest Conservation Commission?
Yeah, I can give you a
Okay,
contact.
perfect.
Yeah, they're very helpful. They could give you types of plants and suggestions on design, and we're not looking for you to come back with some big huge engineered type and survey drawing. Just a sketch showing what you plan to do in the various areas there, and also seeding the area, the farther area beyond the edge of the stream bed, basically, so that that's stabilized, which you probably plan to do anyway, because you had removed all the machinery and debris that was
Yeah.
over there, so,
Okay.
okay. All right.
Sounds good.
So just email me,
Okay.
and then,
Yeah.
actually, well, I've got Bruno's email, and I've got,
My sister's, Gracie. Yeah. All right. Yeah, that's fine.
All right,
okay?
all right, thank you
Thank
very
you,
much.
guys.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Have a great night.
Okay, moving right along. We really don't have much else to do, so. Yeah, so, Chris, enforcement officer reporting, correspondence, or enforcement officer?
I have nothing to report
You've
because
had an
I've been
exhausting couple
buried
weeks.
in planning and zoning,
Yeah, I know.
as you may or may not have known.
Yes, I've heard about it.
I've got a new title, but that, I won't go into it.
I'm sorry?
I have a new title, but I won't repeat it.
Oh. All right, no site inspections, minutes. Gene, you probably haven't had a chance to read them.
No, I'm sorry, I didn't, but I can do it right now or after the meeting closes, whatever.
We'll do it subject to Jean's review. How's that?
Okay.
We can do that, I'm fine with that. I went through them, they were really, well, I probably missed something, but they were very good, actually.
I'm sure there are.
So,
There's never been anything except typos. I mean, it's
Yeah.
not like we missed the point.
Yeah, no, she does good, Chris does a good job of
Yeah.
transcribing what occurs here. So do we have a motion to approve the minutes subject to Gene's double checking on things?
So moved.
So Stephen moved, we have a second? Dave seconded, all in favor? Aye. Opposed, abstentions, okay, that's set. And we have nothing else, right?
No, I sent you all out the thing about the cause meeting on March, whatever it is, March 4th, 3rd, 5th, something like that. And so you're going to go, I'm going to go,
Yeah.
Jack's going to go. Anybody else wants to go, let me know. And then there is the Zoom meeting that the Connecticut Bar is doing. It's an all-day thing. They always have something on wetlands, but, you know, there's other stuff that's there too. So if you're interested in doing that, let me know, because it's a Zoom meeting. I've got a bunch of people from P&Z and ZBA where it's required that they take that training signed up, but if that interests you, let me know.
Is it on Saturday?
It's a Saturday. It's an all-day Saturday.
No,
Is
it's
it this
someone-
No, it's in March.
Oh, okay.
I can resend it out to you again.
I can look it up too. I thought it
Yeah.
was this Saturday. So.
No, it's not
Okay.
until March. And so they'll send you a link if I register you. So you can be home and cozy with slippers on and tea and whatever. And but sometimes it's nice to learn about there is general stuff on how to run a meeting and review site plans. So it's a nice refresher for a lot of stuff.
All right, anything else? We have a motion to adjourn. Jack moved. Not Jack, Josh moved, I'm sorry. Jack seconded. All in favor? Aye. Opposed, abstentions? It's 7:57. Thank you, everybody.